Have you seen some of the comments too?
No, I haven't. I haven't
There
dug
are
back into
people
it.
I'm looking like, all right, very clear. Which brand would you play? What's your one brand? And they're like Strixon Woods and Mizuno irons, and I'm like, or TaylorMade Woods and Ping irons. I'm like,
Missed the
that's
question.
not the assignment. One
Oh, you
brand.
missed it. What is up, everybody? How you living? No putts given. Tony and Chris, we're back. We're back. 2 weeks in a row. Tony, things good? Life good?
Yeah, yeah. I get by. I survive.
What do we got to talk about? We have things to talk about. We have all sorts of things to talk about. I'm wearing my Colorado State golf shirt because our local crew here, the Colorado State Fighting Rams, the home team of one
Not
Martin
just
Luther.
hanging out eating grass rams. Like they're just
No,
aggressively
yes,
fighting.
that's what I'm calling them anyway. They won their home tournament here a couple weeks ago, and they're currently playing at the Gene Miranda Invite at the Air Force Academy. Go Rams! Anyway, a little bit of tour recap stuff. Again, we're in the kind of the shoulder season of things, so
It's not interesting. Let's be
it's
honest.
not peak. It's not peak golf season time. It's NFL time.
What is
It's
like? There should be like somebody needs to brand the major of the fall or something like that.
Yeah, and not the COVID Masters when it was wet and cold. And I know it does kind of, I really do think it would be great to see, professional golf have a true off season. Once kind of where we are, I get you maybe have the Ryder Cup or President's Cup or something, but then really let it go until January. Like it's fine, it's totally fine. Don't dilute the product. Maybe we just give people a break. But that being said, there was a couple things that did happen. I want to get your opinion on this though first. So Billy Horschel wins the BMW across the pond, where he has continued to play pretty well. He beat two fellas in a playoff, one of which was Rory McIlroy. Here's my question for you though. Rory, going back to his US Open meltdown, Irish Open again falters on the back nine, ends up second. Now we see something similar this time, finishes second. Is this more just a byproduct of being in contention that often these things are going to happen, or is there something amiss with
Yeah,
the roller?
yeah, maybe yes to both. I mean, obviously, you can't falter down the stretch, if you will, if you're not in contention. So you got to be there and be there
Right.
repeatedly if you're going to falter repeatedly. But man, it feels like it's just something's in his head at this point. Like it's just, yeah,
So
it's not a
would
good
you
scene.
rather?
Not a good scene.
It's the would you rather get, but if you're, would you rather be in contention a lot, have these type of things transpire, knowing that it can create potentially, indelible scars that maybe prohibit you from winning other events. I mean, it could create lasting damage, I guess, is what I'm saying, which may prevent him from winning down the road. Or would you rather not be in contention at all and
Well,
finish 25th, miss cuts, whatever the case is? Which, I mean, because
you know what? Number two pays pretty good. And if you're second a lot, you're still making a lot of money. But I know, I think,
that's what Rory
we've
needs right
talked
now, a lot
about,
of money.
right, the
Yeah.
distinction between guys who want to win and guys who just want to get paid. And I think Rory at this point would probably prefer to win for no money.
I don't think he needs money. I think
Yeah.
Rory's probably pretty solid.
So yeah, I don't know, man. I think he wants to be in contention every time.
Sure.
I don't think he's one of those guys. Well, losing sucks, so I'd rather not even be in the conversation. So yeah,
Yeah.
I think he'd probably prefer this, but winning strikes me as better. And maybe it is just bad luck, right? Because it's easy to
Me running
focus
out
on what
speed.
goes wrong on that last nine holes.
Right.
Super easy, but the reality is the things that go wrong, the missed putts, the bogeys, whatever they happen to be on the first nine holes on a Thursday, they count the same. And so it's
Sure.
easy to go, hey, down the stretch, this is a stroke
Hmm.
is a stroke.
Yep.
So
It's not a big deal to me now, but if I see it into next year, like again, you get a little bit of a break and whatever, patterns emerge over time. And so again, should this something like this occur in the first major of next year or a major event, people are going to go right back to this, right? And be like, boom, US Open, Irish Open, BMW, we saw it, we saw it, we saw it. Now we have a pattern to connect. I don't know. Peaked in Billy Horschel's bag, though. He won. And I just found one thing interesting, Tony. It's not the GT3 driver. It's not his combo set of irons. It's not his SM10 wedges. It's the fact he's playing two TSI fairway woods. So for those of you that need the recap, we're currently at GT series for Titleist. Let's go back to TSR, and then before that,
TSI.
TS.
There we go.
So we're
Couple
several.
of generations removed.
Mhm.
He's playing the grandfathers of the GT, right?
But what does that tell you? If it ain't broke,
Well, and it's a fairway wood, right? We've talked about this countless times over the years, where I think for average golfers, it's the hardest club in the bag to hit. For pros, it tends to be the one that sticks around the longest. And so if you
yeah,
find one you can hit, if you're comfortable with it, like what's the pressing need to change? And I thought, personal experience, I thought TSI was fantastic.
don't be
So
so eager to change your fairway
yeah,
woods just because a new one
yeah. Why?
comes out unless it solves a problem for you. And again,
My problems cannot be
obviously,
solved. So
that's pretty clear. Yeah. We got to give a mention to our dear friend Lydia Ko. Now, she has never been on our program. Maybe she should. We're both big fans. Her third win in her last three starts. This goes basically when the calendar flipped from July to August, something flipped in Lydia. She went to Europe and all hell broke
she
loose
is the
in a good way.
Nelly Corda of the second half of the season, or at least as we get into the fall part of the season. Unreal, and it's I don't. I love it. That's all I got to say about
It,
it. That's great.
well, here's my question for you with this, besides just loving it. So she's 27, even though it seems like she's been on tour for 27 years. She's 27 years old. She's talked fairly often anyway, about retiring
Me
at
too.
age
Me too.
30.
I could.
You've talked about retiring at age 30 and retired 22 years ago or
Man,
whatever.
if only.
If she retires at 30, that's three more seasons of Lydia. Are you good with that? Are you ready to say goodbye to Lydia in three short years,
I mean,
or do you think
I love it? No, but I mean, he said she's been around since she was a teenager.
I
So
know?
that's a solid
Remember those
career.
big glasses she had? Those
Oh my
glasses she
god, yeah. I mean, I remember when she signed with Callaway, and like the video
Yeah.
where she's playing with crocodiles or some such. I mean, just as a
Yeah.
kid, like
Yeah.
it's crazy.
Yeah.
So not much older than my daughter is now on tour, and that's insane to think about. So yeah,
I know.
why
I
not?
know. I
And
know
that I
she's
mean, why not walk away? And I don't know, maybe she'll do something next. I've never understood that as like
I
if you
think
have the means to do nothing and just go out and do whatever you want from one day to
I
the
know.
next,
Like
why
we said,
not?
in every other industry, somebody says, "Oh yeah, super successful in business. I, retired at 42." It's, "Oh my gosh, that's amazing." You get an athlete, super successful, enter the Hall of Fame at age 27, 20. She's what, 22 or something. LPGA Tour wins. Let's say she does get the Grand Slam, which she still needs a tournament win to accomplish. Let's say she does that. Goes, "I retired at 30," and people are like, why? Why'd you step away? We're happy for people in every other industry that, you know, are in a position to retire early and make their own decisions about their life and their schedule and whatever. But not if you take away from my,
I mean, it's a
you know,
grind, right? Like tour
oh, it's
players, you're traveling a lot. You're man, for me, even I'm like, I don't even like getting out of bed
all
early
the time.
anymore.
All the time. Anyway, let's talk some equipment stuff here.
Yeah.
We had an article posted, and this is a question we get fairly often, right? Which is kind of this
It's like
one brand.
the oldest, I believe, if you checked, this may be the first question ever posed in the first golf forum ever created. Like this is the like
Mhm.
The
Mm-hmm.
oldest question in golf
Is
forums.
this the OG forum question? And so we're going to pose it. And again, what we're talking about here is if you had to play one manufacturer throughout your entire bag, which one would it be? We posted an article on the main site. We'll link to that, etc. But the way I'm going to pose it to you, Tony, is all right.
Have you seen some of the comments too?
No, I haven't. I haven't
There
dug
are
back into
people
it.
I'm looking like, all right, very clear. Which brand would you play? What's your one brand? And they're like Strixon woods and Mizuno irons, and I'm like, or TaylorMade woods and Ping irons. I'm like,
Missed the
that's
question.
not the assignment. One
Oh, you
brand,
missed it.
just one. You get one. You anyway.
One. All right.
Reading is
One brand.
fundamental.
We're going to take out the ball because that would make this kind of a Titleist only question, which isn't fair at all.
You're gonna get a text message about that.
Taking out the ball.
Okay.
We're talking clubs
He said it. I mean,
and your entire bag from one brand. We advise against this, and we'll talk about that in maybe a little bit in terms of why, but it is a question we get all the time. So if you had to play one equipment brand throughout your entire bag, who are you going with, Tony?
we talked about this a little bit. For me, there's an element of looking at it the other way, right? It's exclusionary. Who do I disqualify for a given piece of equipment that I don't like in the lineup? Like I just
A fatal flaw,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
The Achilles tendon, the fatal flaw. Right.
Yeah, I think it's right now. It's tough. Like I've never loved Scotty Cameron putters. So it's a different conversation, right? If I get to be like our readers and make my own rules, be like, oh, do I get it's just a 13 club deal or an 11 club deal, or I get to exclude one part
You
of the
got
bag.
14 clubs, Tony. You're
All
going
one
Titleist?
brand.
Is that what you're doing? You're going to do this?
I don't think so. Like I said, that putter's a sticking point for me. Boy,
No?
it would be a struggle.
All right. So you got to go for $1 million. They're going to pay you $1 million. The next year, you're playing these 14 clubs. You get fit. Da 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 da. You're not going Titleist. I thought you were going to go Titleist.
I struggle. I struggle with the putters. I just never had a Cameron that I love. I'm not saying Cameron's a bad putter. That's a ridiculous statement when you look at use on tour and sales.
It's a bad
but
putter. Just saying, yeah.
If I kind of look at where can I get away with. It's almost a compromise, but maybe Cobra. I think maybe Cobra.
I did not see that coming.
The Metalwoods. I mean, we have talked about the Metalwoods for
forever. Let's go through this.
Okay,
let's go through this. Tony, for $1 million, is going to play Cobra throughout the bag in the next year. Take me through it and explain that to me because I did not see this coming.
Yeah, so we've talked about for years the Metalwoods being dramatically underrated. I talked to somebody who works in the industry, but not for an equipment company several months ago, and he's like, you can make a case that over a period of time, going back a decade, Cobra has been the most innovative in that space. I think that's a fair argument. You've seen lots of things that...
It's a fair argument, yeah.
Yeah, and in terms of kind of what's stuck, what's, still relevant today. So I think, again, like I said, part of it's exclusionary because there's nothing in that lineup that I could not play. So I would be content. I have been content for several years, right? At one time or another.
The Metalwoods I get. The Metalwoods I totally get. Aerojet last year was not just your favorite regional airline. It was a phenomenal driver. And they've had, again, fairway woods. I'll give you Metalwoods aren't my concern with them. My concern with them is somewhere else. But talk me through the rest of the bag.
So irons, right? Move on down. Played Forge Tech for a little while. Loved them. And now you've got like the 3D printed stuff that opens up new avenues. So, part of it is, hey, there's some opportunities here. So I don't dislike Cobra irons, right? To me, they're not exclusionary. I'm not, maybe the game improvement stuff, which isn't where I'd land. Don't love the shapes on that stuff. But when you're in that Forge Tech category in there, or again, 3D printed stuff, happy there. The wedges, not my favorite necessarily, but not exclusionary. So
Okay.
I can be content with the wedges, especially if I have the opportunity to work with the van and do some grinding stuff. Have a Jose
Ben
special,
Schilling going to hook you up.
something
We're
like
going to get a
that.
little.
So that's
Yep.
easy. It's doable, right? Not exclusionary. Um, and then when you get to the putters again, I will make a case that um, from the OEMs in this conversation, right? I can't go pull from something else in terms of
Yep.
just underappreciated the 3D printed stuff again with the sick face. It's really good.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, this is again not everywhere I'd want to be. Wouldn't be again to the big picture here. What not to do? It wouldn't be my number one in every category by any stretch of the imagination. But nothing
Sure.
exclusionary. I could be content there.
Interesting. I did not see that coming. I really thought that you would go. I mean, the article in our article we mentioned, or put on this hat, Ping, right? The kind of came about because of kind of what we've seen in
How many
testing.
how many hats are you going to stack today?
I have as many hats
I
as I
didn't put the
do
Puma hat on. I wasn't even thinking about it. I didn't
Japanese
know my
head
answer.
covers in my basement still. I thought that you might go different direction. The article kind of mentioned a lot of things through Ping, and I totally understand where that is and why, et cetera. Again, I take the ball out because if we said, hey, you have to play the ball, well, Ping doesn't make a ball. So okay, that
Yeah,
it just muddies the waters and makes things confusing. So
I mean exclusionary for me. Pink fairway woods. I've yet
mhm.
to just like
That's what keeps you from Ping is the fairway woods. Okay.
just
So
have not found pink fairway woods that I absolutely love.
yeah. And that's
And
fair.
frankly, not that you asked, but the fairway woods would also be the reason why I would take PXG out of the conversation. And
Mm,
this is where we get into performance versus looks, but the
yeah.
PXG shaping of the fairway woods a little too
Yeah.
round for my eye. Again,
Yeah.
nitpicking for the sake of this conversation, but
Well, we can, yeah,
that is
because
the
that's
only piece of exclusionary equipment in that line.
yeah. Well, and the reality is when you play, you get 14 clubs in your bag. You don't get two sets of irons. You don't get so you got to pick one, and it may be the most smallest detail or something that makes that decision, but that's a real thing for consumers. Again, you're not going to go out and buy four sets of irons. You're going to buy one. So okay, so we got to talk about this because
I feel left out.
because
Like I'm looking for another hat to. Oh, I got. All right,
you know.
what? I'm gonna wear.
Okay, there you go. There you go. Okay, so now we're
What do they
yeah.
call
So
those? The NFL helmets? Are they the gladiator
oh
helmets? What are they like?
yeah, yeah. The cap. Yeah.
Yeah.
This keeps me from getting a concussion. Um. So when I was thinking through this, first one that I went to is Titleist, and the reason that's my first answer would be Titleist, and I'll take you kind of through my thinking here. Wedges are a no brainer. Love the SM10s. Love what we've been fit into there.
and that's the fitting piece of this conversation is where it gets a little weird. But go on, yeah, because
It does,
that's
and we'll talk about we may mention that because I don't want to put anything in my bag that I haven't been fit for, and so obviously the more you've been fit by certain OEMs, the more comfort you have, and
that's right. I
in fact, the more confidence you
Fun
have
fact:
in
you and I have both been fit for 13 clubs from Titleist.
correct,
13, 13.
correct, yeah, and so the more you've been fit, and when you're fit, again, it grows, it breeds confidence. So I know that there are 13 clubs and probably 14 that I could play from Titleist. And again, none of them are kind of that Achilles heel where it's like, ooh, man, I really like this, but fill in the blank. Don't have any of those issues with the Metalwoods. I think, again, I think GT3 is the driver that your current driver should be worried about. Again, notwithstanding that's GT3 versus other stuff on the market now. I'm not saying that's versus what we see coming in the next year from the major OEMs. We'll see. So no concerns there. Certainly no concerns with the wedges. The irons, T100, T150s, absolutely no concern there. I want to say T100s, right, were most played on professional tours
I
at
mean,
least last season, if not the season before.
I'm
So,
still playing the 350s, even though
I
I
mean,
hate that they work.
zero concern there.
So
And there are a couple Scotty Cameron models that I really like. I think is it my would I mean it's funny, right? That I say this, like, that would be, of all the clubs in there, that I would look, if you gave me one club to switch out, that I very might strongly consider switching that one out if it were 13 clubs, but I could be perfectly fine, again, for $1 million
for
playing.
$1 million, I'd probably be happy with just about anything. That's
Well, fair enough. Fair enough.
We'll
But
find something that
I have
we'll
no
make it work. Yeah.
I have no issue. I have no issue through there. My sleeper pick. Here's my sleeper pick, kind of, maybe, because your Cobra pick was a little bit of a sleeper pick to me. I didn't see that one coming. My sleeper pick, and I don't have a hat. Mizuno.
Yeah,
Mizuno.
I could see it.
Irons, phenomenal. Wedges, severely underrated. Have tested really, really well. Never really understood why or how a company like Mizuno's, such a cultish following and well earned on the iron side, but the wedges never kind of had that same status. Like, I I don't totally understand that. Like, why? It's not like, anyway. 5 years ago, the Achilles heel for me would have been metalwoods. They just weren't there. They were slower. They just weren't there. I've seen enough in the last two generations where I go, okay, for $1 million throughout the year, can I get 14, 13 clubs optimized and in a position where I feel like I'm not leaving so much on the table? Yeah, again, you only get one, so my first one's going to be Titleist. I'm not saying I would leapfrog, but it's interesting. We didn't pick a Callaway or a TaylorMade or a Strixon. You did
Yeah.
pick Cobra. We said no to PXG. Let's kind of go through it. And what's the fatal flaw? Because that's, to run the table and go 14 clubs. You got to go. Like I said, it's not that everyone has to be
Yeah,
an
it's
A
just
plus.
it's not 10 out of
But
10
you
by
just
any
can't
stretch. Like
have,
it's, you can flatline eights and win in this battle, I think. Yeah.
right, right. So what is it about Callaway? Where did Callaway
Yeah,
lose?
I could make a case for Callaway. I love beginning, and that's part of it too. There's almost a little bit of uneasiness with answering Callaway because pre Smoke AI was not a
Hmm.
huge fan of the Metalwoods. I
Okay.
I love that driver. I think I got a 5 wood behind me that may go back in the bag. Uh,
Ooh.
yeah, I just that one in particular, like 3 wood, good, but maybe not comfort level
Mm-hmm.
percentage success percentage. But love that
Uh
five
huh.
wood. Never still like Callaway irons, and still nothing that I absolutely love. Like
Yeah.
I think the new AI stuff, the Apex AI, is better, but I'm not necessarily
Uh-huh.
like in love with it. Um,
Yeah.
the Opus wedges have taken that category as completely exclusionary. In fact, like you could going back, if you asked me this question last season, like, hey,
Mm-hmm.
what is top of mind? The first thing that excludes any OEM from this conversation, it would be Callaway wedges. Hands down, my
Yeah.
least favorite of anything in a major manufacturer line.
Uh huh.
That
But
obstacle
Opus
is
solved
gone.
that for you.
Yeah.
Opus
Oh yeah,
solved that.
absolutely. Just looking down on
Okay.
way better there. And then, believe it
Yep.
or not, obviously they're competent, they're good, but I've never had an Odyssey putter that I'm like, yes, I love this. I think this is really good. I could
Interesting.
putt with this for a prolonged period of time, and I have putted over a period of time with Cora. I played one a couple seasons ago,
Uh
half
huh.
a season maybe, which in
Yeah.
our world is a reasonably long period of time. So
Sure.
that's kind of the why of Callaway.
Yeah.
Um, the other big one, TaylorMade, and
Yeah.
this is crazy to me, to really
Crazy.
to me when I
Crazy.
think about it and go back, you're back like in my time at MyGolfSpy, right? When have I played a tailor-made driver for any type of, like, more than just a couple rounds to try it? And I
Yeah.
think I have to go all the way back to Rocketball's tour.
Oh.
Um, and otherwise, it's one of these things where, despite all of the configuration and the Tinker toys on the
Mm-hmm.
bottom of soles and all the stuff you can move around these days, I've just never found a tailor-made driver that, whether I agree with it or it agrees with me, there's a communication breakdown there.
It's
So
not you, it's me.
it's
It's not
that,
you,
and
it's me.
then moving into, I do like, I could play tailor-made fairway woods, interestingly enough. So I've gotten on better with that. I think
Okay.
uh, I don't have any hybrids in the bag right now, but I could play tailor-made hybrids comfortably. Even the
Mm-hmm.
irons is another case where, yeah, you know, I don't think anybody could rationally say, "Oh, our P series is garbage. There's nothing in there that's good." It's just,
Mm-hmm.
again, nothing that I've gotten on perfectly with. It's like, hey,
Mm-hmm.
I I'm able to make really good contact with this iron. So that was not the current one, but the previous
Right.
iteration when they launched the 770 last time around. Like,
Yeah.
center of the face every time, couldn't get launch and spin where I needed. So it just didn't work.
Yep.
And then P790, I've struggled to find the center of the face. And while that's forgiveness is nice, again, what's the most forgiving club? What's the one you hit in the middle of the face most
The one
often?
you can hit in
So
the middle most often. Yeah.
again, a little bit of a disagreement between myself and the irons. And then you get into the wedges and the putters, wedges in particular. I mean, just those MG series is phenomenal. That's
Mm-hmm.
one where I think, quite
Mm-hmm.
honestly, right, if we had the same level of fitting experience at TaylorMade that we have with Titleist, it would be a conversation. I think those wedges
Yeah.
are that good. So
Yeah. I agree. I agree. And I mean, kind of what this point, like, I tried to flip the question on its head a little bit too, and said, okay, let's say of the top 5 to 7. So let's go Titleist, Ping, Callaway, Mizuno, Cobra, TaylorMade, PXG, Cleveland, Strixon, maybe in there as well. There aren't, like you said, if I were to ask you a year ago, is there a category from a major OEM that would keep you from saying yes to 14 clubs or 13 clubs throughout the bag? Before, you were like, yeah, absolutely, Callaway wedges. I'm not playing it because of that. That concern's been alleviated. Is there anything out there now that it is like it's a deal breaker? It is the Achilles heel. It's like, nope, I can't play blank because of blank. I can't play PXG
like I
because
said, fairway woods, right? And
fairway.
it's the shape more than anything else. Like I said, they kind of remind me
Yeah,
of the Nike fairway woods, a little more rounded. Um,
yeah,
Full disclosure, right? We haven't spent a lot of time with Black Ops, and so maybe it's different with that. And
right.
we'll be very curious to see what comes in the spring, assuming something
Yep,
comes in the spring. But I could have
yep.
I could have played the 0811 X series drivers and everything that's come from that and been okay, if not happy. I
Mm-hmm.
hit some of that stuff really well.
Mm-hmm.
I've said before, again, not playing hybrids right now, but PXG hybrids for me, pound for pound, in the conversation for the very best in golf.
Mm-hmm.
I have, when I haven't played Titleist, I have played PXG irons and been exceedingly happy.
Yep. Yep.
If I wasn't playing based on, sort of like, if you want to call it, hey, if somebody stole your Vokey wedges tomorrow,
Mm-hmm.
in terms of what do you have at your house right now, what would be the next thing in the bag? It would be the Sugar Daddies.
Okay.
And I play a PXG putter. So, like I said, it's just that fairway wood
Yeah.
is.
You're not. Yeah. You're not far off.
So yeah,
Uh,
PXG is right there, which I know some people are going to think that's bonkers, but yeah, that's
yeah.
that's my reality. And
No,
then,
it's
like I
just what
said,
it
I
is.
mentioned the Scotty Cameron for Titleist, and you're like just waiting, like, come on, guys, let's see some technology instead of, call it legacy, right? Like,
Yeah.
this is to an extent the same story that's been told for every year since I've been in golf. So going on 15 years, like, I want to see breakthrough technology from Cameron. Like, I think that's
Mm-hmm.
time. So that for me is the whole there.
Mm-hmm.
They said TaylorMade just not getting along with it.
Yeah.
So what
Yeah.
are we missing? What do we need to know?
I mean, that's again, there's going to be fringe companies and this stuff here and there and that whatever, but and again, it's kind of performative. I get in the sense like I'm not going to get offered $1 million to play clubs from one company, and even
Bob,
if
call me.
yeah, Bob, weird getting a call from Bob Parsons right now. Hey, Bob, what? uh, no, we mix and match, and that's why we're able to do that, and why it's so fun because you hold on to things that really really fit or that you love, and again it checks all the little boxes. Sometimes they're nuanced boxes, sometimes it is a shaping issue, sometimes I love the way Strixon irons feel. I don't love how long they are heel to toe.
You get
Is
used
that
to
a
it.
weird thing? Maybe I don't know. I like the slightly more rounded top line on Mizuno's as opposed to the more squared off top line on
And that's
Strixon.
always part of this conversation. And again, the oldest question in the history of forums, right? But
Right.
it comes down to what is the little thing that makes you choose one brand because well maybe something or the entire lineup isn't your favorite. There's nothing
Right.
there's at least something you can choose comfortably and not an entire piece of the lineup where you just look at it and go, no,
Yeah.
don't like
Yeah.
it. No.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. I'm sure there's going to be tons of comments on this, and I really want to hear people's
One
minds. So,
brand though.
if one brand, $1 million, they're going to pay you. What is that brand and why?
And
Let's finish
let's
up
do
with
that
this.
too. The second piece. What is the single most exclusionary piece of equipment in somebody else's lineup? What is the biggest
Yep.
reason why you wouldn't
The
choose somebody
reason
else?
you wouldn't choose somebody's
Let's go negative.
lineup. So I will
It's an
not
election
choose
year.
brand blank because of blank. So before, yeah, I will not play company A because of its wedges, its hybrids, whatever it is. Let us know. Finish with this, Tony. You had member recently, I believe, right?
Yeah, oh, we did.
And
Yeah.
and
Uh,
it's that time of year, member guest season's well over, but a lot of courses, particularly where we're at, where it is seasonal, and you're like, the season starts to wind down in September, October, whatever. You got a good story for me, Tony?
well, yeah. First, well, I guess the upside of a member versus a member guest is at least you know who the sandbaggers are before it starts. So,
It's
so,
yeah,
so yeah, we started out like so. I don't know how. I'd love to know how everybody else their clubs run fall members. So we do
yeah.
multiple formats. So 9-hole scramble Friday, 2-man scramble. All you can do is
Okay,
hope not to screw it up, and we didn't screw it up. Like we were tied for the lead with most of our flight.
okay.
Saturday, chap
So you do not only 9 holes on Friday. So you
right,
do 9 hole
9-hole
scramble
scramble.
Friday.
Then Saturday all day is a modified Chapman scramble.
Okay.
So if you don't know what this is, like I hit a drive, my partner hit a drive. Then we
Yep.
then we switch and I have to hit his ball and he has to hit
Yep.
mine, which means he only got to hit like 7-second shots the entire round because that's a whole other story. And then you
Okay.
scramble in from there. And
Okay.
Saturday was held together like a round of golf. I would describe it as held together by dental floss and duct tape. Like you just like if
In no
something
particular order.
if something doesn't change dramatically by Sunday morning, this whole thing is coming apart and it's going to be messy. And
Uh
Sunday
huh.
came apart and it was messy. We don't need to dig into that detail. We did not win. We did not
Okay.
finish second, nor did we finish third. And so,
Okay.
like after that, who even cares? But
All right. So Friday. So Friday 9 hole scramble. Saturday 18 hole modified Chapman. And then what's Sunday's
better
format?
ball, just straight better ball partners.
Okay. 18 holes a straight better
Yeah,
ball.
net, better ball
Okay.
net. But
Okay.
here's the thing, little. It's, I'm sure everybody has stories, and I would love to hear your best member guest member. But in a flight, I don't know if it was one or two up from mine, but one of the higher handicap flights, a couple of the guys they started drinking early on Saturday, going at it hard,
That's gonna happen.
and at 2 points during the round, I guess you could say they paused the golf. They briefly paused the golf, and there's video footage on the side of like you can like, oh yeah, I know whose house that is. I know this. All right, that's the 16th hole. That looks like
Uh huh.
to wrestle. They they wrestled each other And apparently there was no aggression. They weren't like mad because they were both playing like shit and wanted to blame each other. It was like, you know what? Let's wrestle because we enjoy wrestling. There's footage of this. And then again on the ninth hole, which McGregor, the ninth hole is where the turn stand is. So
Yeah.
lots of
Yeah.
guys watching
Uh-huh.
Greco-Roman wrestling style. There's video evidence that suggests that one of them soiled himself during said match. This is all real.
What is going on?
And then Sunday morning, one of the two shows up for their Sunday morning round. Has no recollection of what transpired the day before. Does in fact realize that his knee hurts. The other one no shows because of pain in his elbow. So I don't know if this is typical member. Let me know. Like, what is the strangest thing that has ever happened at one of your member tournaments? And I don't believe that there was a wrestling section of the tournament. I don't think this was golf and wrestling. And so,
There was a
if you didn't
nine
perform
hole
well,
scramble,
yeah, if you were out of
2
the
rounds
money,
left.
like I would have liked to know, like, being out of the money in my flight, if I could have wrestled my partner and maybe won something that way, I would have liked to know. I don't know. Yeah, so wrestling.
Seems like there's an opportunity that I was not aware of. That
I think you'd
I'm
do all
sure
right.
people.
I think you would do all right
Yeah,
in the wrestling
I
portion
got.
of a member.
Yeah, I like this. I like some elements, some feats of strength, or something.
Yeah, and I think again, like,
You know,
this could legitimately be a way to add some excitement to a tournament, because if you're like, we knew when we made a double bogey with like 6 holes left, we knew, like, that's
yeah,
it, we're done.
yeah,
This
yeah,
tournament is now over for us. But if we
yeah.
could have done something else like wrestling,
Let's go. Let's
or
go to the caber
or
toss.
maybe
Let's go.
like I said, we're
You
doing,
know,
after your tee shot. There's a bow and arrow for the archery portion of the competition.
yeah, yeah.
Golf
I like it.
biathlon. I don't know. I don't know. Quite the
There's
scene,
got to
man.
be
Quite
answers
the
out
scene.
there.
Yeah.
There's got to be stories. Please
Yeah.
share them.
Please. Please.
Please, I would love to hear one, or 3 or 4. Please share
Yeah.
them. Maybe we can
Somebody's
put
got to beat wrestling.
somebody's got to beat wrestling. Somebody, yeah, you got something. Well, that's
That's a
what a way
show.
to end. What a show. What a place to end. Find us, follow us, people. Please subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already. Share your comments, share your ideas, share your hopes, share your dreams, and until next time, we out.